Welcome back to the channel, you guys. In today's video, we're going to be talking about this optic right here. It's the RIX LEAP L6R. Let's get into it. Before we get into the optic, if you guys are looking to get into any thermal, whether it's this scope or a different one, go reach out to Outdoor Legacy, Hans or Jason over there, 877-350-1818. They are great dudes, know a ton about thermal. If you're on the fence about any optic or don't know what to purchase, give either Hans or Jason a call and they'll help you guys get set up. Getting into the RIX LEAP L6R, this optic is right behind the very popular LEAP L6. Obviously the L6R is with the integrated rangefinder. Before we jump into the specs, I'm just gonna walk you guys through kind of the physical layout of the scope. Lens cap, first thing I noticed is the lens cap is high quality. This is not like one of those cheap lens caps. It's like plastic. This is a high quality lens cap, which doesn't sound important, but it's just something that I noticed that's super nice. Dual throw levers, one back here on the back on your eye focus, and then one up here on the main focus on the scope. And then your controls are different. I've run a bunch of other thermal optics, and this is the first RIX I've dealt with, and this is definitely a new menu system button layout than I've been used to, but I actually really like it. Super simple, especially at night, and having the one or two buttons on top, I know which one is record, I know how to record, I know how to power on and off the scope. That's pretty much all I need to do with it in the field once I'm hunting. You know, I can do all the zeroing, everything, color palettes, you know, reticle setup, everything like that at home before I go out. But then once I'm actually in the field, I like a simple button layout, which is exactly what we have here. Two buttons, power button on top, photo and video button on the side, and then your turrets are actually your controls to work through your menus. So like I said, that you can get into your menus and do all that stuff prior to your hunting. But then once you actually get out there, you actually only have to deal with a couple of buttons. So that is really nice, because especially in the dark, when you just reach out and press a big button and you're recording. For me, somebody that records a lot in the field, turn it on and off the scope, this is a great setup for me. So we're talking about the physical things of the scope. It runs off of an 18650 battery, ships them with two of them, so rechargeable 18650s. You know, I just plug one in my truck, the other one stays in the scope, and when one dies, I can just go swap it out. In 40 degree temps, I was seeing about 4 hours before I was like switching out at the truck. To be fair, the scope wasn't completely dead, but I didn't want to go out on stand and have it die on me, so I was switching it and on the stand in between. But I mean, I really like the ability to do that, because coyote hunting, I'm always back and forth to my truck. I'm always at my truck. Like I said, the longest I'll be on stand is maybe an hour if it's a really long stand or something. So to get the 18650 battery out, just on the other side is just a little switch, push it down, battery door opens, you can pull the 18650 out, put the new one in, and you're good to go. And this is just small things, you guys, that I've just from coyote hunting a lot, that I've run into, that is just certain things you don't notice until you get another optic and you try it, and like it has small changes to the physical scope that you just don't notice how nice they're going to be until you're actually out in the field. And that battery door over there is one of those things that I noticed. The ability just to pop the door open, slide the battery out, slide a new one in was super nice, because like I said, scopes in the past, I'm unthreading and then I'm rethreading in once I put the battery in, and it just takes more time. It's not as efficient, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. The threads are always, you know, they don't want to line up or something, but with this setup on this scope, you just pop the door open, pop a new battery in, and you're good to go. So besides the physical layout of the scope, we're going to jump into some of the internals on it, but at the end of the video, I will give you guys my thoughts, my experience with the scope. I've been using it and been running and killing some coyotes with it, and most importantly, the price. So going over some of the specs for you guys, it's going to be a 640 by 480 resolution. It is a 12 micron optic, and it has a 50 hertz refresh rate. The display screen is going to be a 1920 by 1080, and your base magnification is going to be 2.8 with a digital zoom of 8.4. Ballistic Calculator, laser rangefinder, obviously with the RIX L6R, you're running a rangefinder. And that's integrated, like we talked about earlier. It's an integrated rangefinder, so it's just set up here at the front of the optic, and you don't have to attach it, plug it in, nothing like that. It's built right into the optic. Bunch of different color palettes with this optic. It has a weatherproof rating of IPX67. This optic is a little bit bigger. I noticed that right when I pulled it out of the box. It is a 2-pound optic. Has a detection range of 2,143 yards on a 6-foot tall object, meaning that's a life-size target at that distance, and that is not the ID range. ID range is going to be much closer than that, and it's going to vary depending on how much thermal experience you have. If you look through a lot of thermal, you're going to be able to tell, you know, based on different things, how the animal's moving, stuff like that. The more you look through thermal, the longer, you know, you're going to get a little bit better at your ID range. But still, I mean, I was easily identifying coyotes the other night at 400 yards, 500 yards, deer, no problem. Field of view at 100 yards is 46 feet. The recoil rating is up to 300 Win Mag, and it has video and audio recording, and it has streaming to the RIX app as well as single shot 0. So talking about the zoom, the base magnification is 2.8. You got a digital zoom of 8.4, but with this optic, you have the ability to optically zoom it, and the optical zoom is going to go from, it's a 1 to 3x. By now, a lot of us have heard, you know, dealt or seen optical zooms. You're not necessarily zooming in the thermal image, you're zooming in on your screen. So you actually keep a lot more quality than if you were to digitally zoom in. Using this throw lever back here, like I said, you can zoom in on the animal and it's actually gonna bring that screen closer to you. You can keep the quality higher and not lose as much as you would with running digital zoom. In the video, you're not gonna see the optical zoom in use because it's not gonna show up. It's back here. It's basically, like I said, zooming in on the screen, and the screen is what's recorded. So you're not going to see the optical zoom. This has more of a feel of like a daytime optic, what everybody's used to running. You can just reach up there, roll the dial. There's no thinking about it. If you want to know more about the specs and really deep dive into a lot more of that stuff, go check out Jason and Han's video over on the Late Night Vision show. They deep dive into a lot of the specs and go over them and the benefits to each one. I just put the scopes to work, see how they perform. I give you guys the specs so that you know what they are. So you guys can go check out their video if you want to deep dive into some of the specs. So the biggest thing on this scope, obviously, is the rangefinder. The integrated rangefinder, it's not something that you have to add on. It's already built into the scope, which is huge, especially on these tube-style scopes, because a lot of times on these tube-style scopes, you have to, in the past, thermal companies have been putting them on the side, separate attachments, Bluetooth, something like that, where the scope has to talk to the rangefinder. The rangefinder might get knocked off of 0. Something would happen. You know, anytime you have an external mounted rangefinder, it's just not gonna be as seamless as something that's integrated. If you have an integrated laser rangefinder with the Ballistic Calculator, which you can set up through the app, you can go in there, put your profiles in, and do everything like that through the app. That, obviously, if you shoot longer distances, that's gonna be a huge deal for you, having the integrated laser rangefinder, having the Ballistic Calculator. So the price on this optic is going to be $4,499. So basically $4,500 is what you're going to be looking at to get this optic from Outdoor Legacy. Before we wrap it up, I'll give you guys my just thoughts on this optic from running it the other night, my experience with it, what I thought of the optic, and actually getting some kills with it. It is a very clear 640. The optical zoom, I love it. The recording, super nice. Zeroing it, like I told you guys about, zeroing it was super easy. 2 shots, I was dialed in and I was hunting. And that's not going to be everybody. You know, sometimes it's going to take 3 or 4 shots, but the 1-shot zero and how it sets up is super nice, and it was super accurate when I did freeze frame it. And I love the physical layout of the scope, everything, the levers, the 2-button layout, and the battery door. Like I said, these are all small things that you don't notice until you get out in the field with them hunting. These things, some of these things just make it so seamless that you, like I said, you won't notice them until you got out into the field, but they do make a difference. So physical layout of the scope, I really liked it. The image quality, I really enjoyed it. This is my first RIX optic, so it was a little bit of adjustment coming from other optics just because each thermal has a little bit different look to it. And once I got used to it, I really enjoyed this optic. I killed some coyotes with it. No problems identifying a coyote when they popped out into the field. Deer, coons, cats, every animal in the field that I looked at with this optic, I knew right away what it was. So I really enjoyed running this scope. This is everything that I would want out of a thermal optic. It has optical zoom, digital zoom, laser rangefinder, ballistic calculator, video recording, audio recording. The mount is high quality. The button layout is simple, not overcomplicated, and it just works. I mean, that is my impression of the scope. You put it on there, I had it mounted up, hour and a half, I had gone and killed a coyote with it. The scope just works, and that is huge. When you can mount a scope up, go kill with it. That is all I'm worried about with thermals. So that's my rundown of the RIX LEAP L6R. If you guys have any questions, like I said, go reach out to Hans and Jason over at Outdoor Legacy, 877-350-1818. If it's not this thermal optic, I assure you that they got something for everybody's budget. Everybody's application is different, so go reach out to them and have a conversation with them. They are very knowledgeable when it comes to thermal and night vision. And the biggest thing is you can have a real conversation with them when you call that number. You could talk to either Hans or Jason, and they're going to get you set up with the right scope for your application. Like I said, everybody's different. Everybody has something different that they're doing with thermals. So not what works for me might not work for you guys. So go check them out. Go give them a call. Subscribe below, and we will catch you guys in the next video.